ladies and gentlemen, the update we've all been waiting for is finally here. It literally dropped like 2 minutes ago. So I am making this video now. I am going to be doing a whole series on this. So if you're interested about different parts, check the annotations. I'm going to be doing parts on the gameplay, parts on the bounty hunter, and I'm going to be doing this video on the patch notes. So definitely make sure to check those all out. If you're interested in keeping up to date with all things Darkest Dungeon 2, news, gameplay, let's plays, funny videos, whatever the case may be, please consider going down and clicking that subscribe button. It really helps me out. It's free for you to do, and you'll keep up to date with all this awesome news. So let's delve into these patch notes. There's a lot to dive into here. This is my first look on this. So let's see. This is it's live on experimental, right? So first of all, you have to be on the experimental branch to do this. And there's an advisory here at the beginning. This is something that I knew would most likely happen. I know it's going to upset some people, but it's for the greater good. And that is that this update is a whole resale rework of a fundamental underpinnings of Darkest Dungeon 2 metagame and its progression. Your current hope score will be reset, resulting in a wipe of item unlocks and hero availability, meaning you will have basically a brand new game starting today. Any in-progress expeditions will also be reset, so you're starting from scratch. Hero backstory progress and associated skill unlocks, as well as confession boss unlocks, will be preserved. So we do get their backstories. That's still good. Associated skill unlocks. So if you have the skills already, you don't need to unlock them all. So that's good for us. So I can get in there and start using all those skills. But I do have to purchase those heroes again. You will be awarded 20 candles of hope to expedite your exposure to the Altar of Hope. So we start off with some cash. Very nice. So here we go. The Altar of Hope update includes a massive new progression system to Darkest Dungeon 2, which allows you to invest in upgrades, perks, and unlocks that suit your playstyle and strategy. You'll collect Candles of Hope by completing objectives, progressing through areas, etc., etc. Best results come from daring deeds. You will also need to choose when to take a safer path. So this, I think we've talked about this part already in the last bit, which is the cashing out aspect of it. So if you want to leave early and keep your candles, then do so. That's totally fine. Ignore my lovely little notification down there. For more information on the Altar of Hope, refer to this blog post. I will link the blog post in this description. So we've also got the new ally, the Bounty Hunter. So we've already discussed the Bounty Hunter patch notes. You can take a look at his blog post to make sure you get all the information on him. We're going to be hopefully playing with him pretty soon and putting a video out there very, very soon as well. I will make sure once that video is uploaded to make sure that it's annotated here somewhere. So let's get into the patch notes. Hero stats balanced to account for the numerous Altar of Hope buffs available to each hero's advancement track. So there's new buffs that are going to be on the track now. So their stats have been probably lowered at the base value. So that way when they're at the end value, they're probably maybe a little stronger than they were now. We'll have to see how that all works out. Monsters and bosses with multiple standard actions, not including start-end and end-round skills, there's a special, will now roll their additional actions at a stacking initiative penalty in order to decrease but not eliminate the chances of multiple actions in a row. This is really important. So this is big for the Exemplar in particular, who usually got both of actions back-to-back, which was Prelude and then the Fall, which he used on a comboed target. Gave you no chance to try and remove the combo token, to block the person getting hit by the comboed attack, etc. So this is really, really big. Also big for other enemies like the Pit Fighter is probably one of them as well, that kind of just punched your whole team around super quick, and you're like, what the hell just happened? So doesn't eliminate it, it's still there, but definitely feels kind of like when you roll that now, it's probably going to feel like, oh god, that was bad luck, instead of like, this just happens every time. In changes. Ins now vary how much they heal. Reintroduction of Stitching Kit as an in item. So it used to be, this was the way it was at the beginning. They didn't heal 100%. Now it is that they're not going to heal 100%. They're going to vary. That's an interesting one. I think it's a good one, generally speaking, as now that they've kind of fixed how food works from where it was at the beginning. It kind of makes sense now to bring it back where you don't just instantly heal to 100% every time. You actually have to kind of strategize how you use your food. Item loot fixes. There were some spreadsheet offerings incorrectly supply loot quantities. This should be fixed and should be harder to get offset again. Okay. Confession boss battle modifier. When facing the end bosses, hero will now face substantial death blow resist penalty. Oh ho ho. This allows us to keep the fights challenging and deadly without it involving endless hero death or juggling. Okay. Interesting. So basically, do you die quicker or die less? Keep fights challenging and deadly without it involving... So I'm guessing what this means is that they don't want fights just sticking on like 8 rounds of Death's Door. Pretty much if you get hit down the Death's Door, you're probably just dead at this point. So interesting. Removed loathing restoration from Guardian fights because they are not optional. Okay. Cool, that's fine. Valley swapped order of Story Assist and Hoarder for all narration configurations. Story Assist and Hoarder in the Valley. There's a Hoarder in the Valley? There's a Cache in the Valley. Interesting. Change order of Assist Encounter and Hoarder since you get the Assist Encounter location may influence your shopping choices. Shopping choices in the Valley. Oh, shit. Okay. Valley Assist Encounters. The player will now have a choice between different loot options instead of always getting food. Also restores full torch now since the placement of this encounter within the Valley changed. Interesting. Monsters in the first region past the Valley will now never be ordained. Okay, so that's good. This is progression. That means in the first area, you don't deal with ordained enemies. You only get them further on. Final region before the mountain will be 90% of the time, was 80. Okay, this is progression. I really like that. Region mutators. Added 2 new ones. Blood and Hope, Peace and Hope. Candle generation. Okay, so these are mutators to the going into a region. Candle generation chant boosts at certain locations. Okay. Changed secret safe region goal to be fight less than 6 road battles since previous was sometimes impossible. Okay. Added candles into the mix for region goals rewards. That's cool. Stealth tokens now stacked to a maximum of 2. Ooh, stealth is back on the table. And are consumed at a rate of 1 per turn, regardless of action taken, unless otherwise noted on a skill. Interesting. Ooh, I get the feeling we're going to be seeing some stuff down here. Look at this. I see Grave Robber. Adjust color of Dazed Stun text tokens to better reflect their role as negative tokens. Yes, stun is now blue, probably. Thank you. Discarding items no longer rewards anything. Okay, hope is no longer a thing, so you don't need to discard items. Heroes. General. Fixed an issue where heroes would never want to head towards Oblivion Ingress at a crossroad. Okay. Base death blow resistance has been reduced to 60% from 75. Ooh, you're gonna die quicker. HP, speed, resistance, base values have been adjusted down on many values. Okay, this again makes sense. They're lowering the base heroes so that way when you get them all the way upgraded, they're not just OP as fuck. Awesome. Grave Robber. Shadow Fade now grants 2 stealth tokens instead of 1. This is what she needed. Now stealth builds are viable because you don't just lose stealth immediately. You can actually set up for things. Shadow Fade Plus now grants 2 stealth tokens. Shadow Fade now has a 2-round cooldown. Okay, Dead of Night now grants 2. Again, great. She can set up stealth now. You have a turn to work with her. That's great. That's amazing. Hellion. Helling End cooldown increased from 3 to 1. Okay. So Hellion cooldown increased to 2 from 1. Oh, I've read this backwards. I was like, wait, what? Okay, Howling End got nerfed. We all knew that was coming. It's way too powerful. I'm surprised they went this route and didn't go the toe-to-toe route, but hey, whatever. We'll see how this goes. Retribution now has a round 1 cooldown. Knew that was coming. Way too powerful. And so does Strategic Withdrawal. Again, very powerful. You could basically just spam Strategic Withdrawal into Crush, and you could live forever. Retribution was way too powerful as well, so totally agree with these. Run and Hide now grants 2 stealth tokens instead of 1. Okay, so stealth seems to have just been buffed to 2. Okay, got it. Run and Hide cooldown increased from 2 to 1. Or 2-2 from 1. That reads weird. I don't like the 2-2 from 1. I would risk it was increased from 1 to 2 because I'm reading it backwards, but okay. It's got another turn of cooldown. I wish that they had added a base regen to this instead of having to upgrade it to get the regen, because I think a lot of new players especially don't even think about regen as a thing, and they don't really know how it works, and they don't want to invest in Run and Hide. But okay, whatever. Great. Okay, hero path changes. Okay, Deadeye. Range damage bonus reduced to 25. Okay, so she does less damage in Deadeye. Kind of makes sense. She was a little OP a little bit, but still, Grave Robber really needs some help. I'm going to check these Venom drop ones. Nightsworn HP reduced, or penalty reduced, so you get more health. Lunge Pirouette and Nightsworn has been reduced to 25%. Okay. Venom drop. Range damage penalty reduced to 25. Okay, so that's helpful. She does more damage now. Venom. Okay, so now we're talking. Blight was increased to 2 in the base version, so that makes it pretty much as good as Harvest. And then it was increased to 4 in the plussed up version. Fantastic. That makes Flashing Dagger's Blight actually valuable and gives her some real... That 1 damage initially and then 2 when upgraded was a real kick to the gut. Okay. Hellion, Berserker. HP penalty has been reduced. That's nice. Deathblow resist bonus reduced. Okay, so she's not as strong. So she only has an additional 10%. Ravager, HP, okay, that's fine. Rank 1 damage bonus reduced. They're really hitting down the damage here. I'm wondering if this is because they're going to get more damage, like, base from their stat upgrades, so they don't want the paths to be as OP. Turn Bleed stat can now be resisted. Oh, okay, this is interesting. You can actually build Bleed resist on her, and it doesn't just skip it. It used to. The burn from Arsonist and the Bleed from Ravager used to just skip resistances. So Rogue, looks like damage has been reduced down to 25%. Okay. The rank 3 penalty reduced as well. Okay, so he does more damage from rank 3. Sharp damage has been reduced from 50 to 25%, and again, the penalty has been reduced on the melee damage. Okay. Jester solo. Okay, we're going to see this across the board. Damage has been reduced on the paths, it looks like, and the health penalties have been also reduced, so they get more health. So more health, less damage. Okay. Virtuoso, bleed, blight, burn, resistance penalty reduced. Okay, so his DOT resistances have been increased, essentially. The penalty has been decreased. These read really backwards, so give me a second here. Poet, self-heal bonus reduced. Okay, so he no longer just heals all of his health. Stun move reduce bonus have been reduced. Okay, so he's no longer immune to the Leviathan. Okay. Chop damage has been reduced, and the penalty on the HP has been reduced. Okay. Man-at-Arms. Damage bonus has been reduced. Okay, the DOT resist. Okay, we're seeing these across the board. Okay, melee damage has been reduced. All the damages have been reduced. The HP penalties have been put into the favor of more health, and that looks to be across the board. DOT resistances have been less penalized now. So yeah, same here. So all of these are basically less powerful, essentially. And then the burn DOT can be resisted. Okay. Monsters, Oblivion's Rampart. Battles are now a single fight instead of 2 waves. Oh, okay. So now you have to do, it's like a creature den in Oblivion's Rampart. Ooh, that's tough. Probably, I mean, it really doesn't make any difference. Well, it does make a difference, actually, because your team won't get a heal in between. No healing in between fights. And also, all of your abilities that are round limited are going to not be refreshed. That's big. That's going to make the Exemplar fight in particular extremely difficult. Biome 1 is now a cultist mash with a guaranteed altar. Okay, so they've taken out the Deacon from the Biome 1. They've made Biome 1 easier. It's just an altar with regular cultists. So that's not too bad, actually. That's good, I think. It looks like Biome 2 is now either a Deacon or a Cardinal mash with a guaranteed altar. Okay, so Deacon or Cardinal of an altar. That's good. Again, I like that there's a little bit of unpredictability there. You don't know if you're going to get the Deacon or the Cardinal. Both of those require different playstyles. And by the time you get to Biome 2, you should have kind of flushed your team out a little bit. Biome 1 being an easier fight makes sense to me. And Biome 3 is an Exemplar with an altar. I like that we know what the ad is going to be every time now. It used to be random. At least this way we know it's an altar and we can work to, like, you know, knowing that we need to pull that forward or push the other person back or whatever the case is. Mountain Fight. Oblivion Ingress 1 is now random Deacon mash instead of an Exemplar. Hey, we got rid of the second Exemplar. I wanted this so bad. I thought 2 Exemplars just feels weird. It's not even that it's hard. It's just like this is the penultimate, like, baddie before the boss. And, like, I gotta fight him twice? Why? It seems weird. That makes more sense. Like this. Okay. Random Cardinal mash instead. Okay, so you get kind of easier fights before the final boss. Okay, you get a Deacon and a mash, and you get a Cardinal and a mash. Again, kind of back to how it was before, where it was like Deacon and Cardinal. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Cultists, out of position attacks, blah, 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 have slightly reduced chance of granting worship. Okay, cool. Herald First Trumpet, damage reduced from... Okay, First Trumpet has been done. Inversion, self-move reduced to back 1 from back 2. Oh, self-move. Sorry, okay. And he goes back 1 instead. Clarion Call, launch ranks change from 3-4. Okay, so you can only do Clarion Call from the back rows. Interesting. Stress reduced to 2 from 2 to 3. Does less stress now. Everybody's going to love that. Clarion Call can no longer crit. Amazing. Herald Harmonious End has been replaced with Disharmony, a front ranks attack. We got a new enemy for the Herald in the front row. I never saw Harmonious End anyway, so we'll like to see what this is. Exaltation crit rates reduced to 5% from 10. Okay, people are going to like that. Damage range of Exaltation reduced pretty significantly. That's good, because when it crits, it hits like a fucking truck. The fall reduced damage. Okay, that's great. The Exemplar is easier to fight. Stun resist has been lowered as well. I love it. Okay. Her Lady Shit combustion skills now correctly deals 200% of remaining... Oh, I didn't even realize that was supposed to do, because it never worked. Okay. Fog stress chance reduced to 33% chance. Great. Awesome. Blind chance reduced to 25% or 75%. Okay, great. Cool. So now we have... The fog is less annoying. Got it. Bosun, Heave-Ho crit reduced. Bosun damage reduced. Okay, everything looks like it's becoming easier, actually. Cooldowns have increased on Sodden Rigging. That's good. Incubation now heals slightly less on cabin boys. Spawning ground stress reduced from 2 to 3. Great. Fix an issue where all hands on deck could target corpses. Okay, that's fine. Docker, debuff resist reduced from to 20%. That's great. Makes him easier to hit with debuffs. Make Way no longer has a 25% chance to deal an additional point of stress. Okay, that's good because Make Way is busted. Dramatically reduces the likelihood that he will use Make Way on his first action. I really like this because Make Way on the first turn can really fuck your team up. Doesn't say that it's impossible, but it really reduces it. So if you get it, it's rare, and I think that's fine. Whetstone now has a 50% chance to grant dodge or dodge plus instead of 100% dodge plus. Okay, that's nice, because it did feel a little overpowered that she could always get dodge plus, but hey. Hull Keeper, Hefo damage reduced from 4. Okay, so the damage has been reduced and the stress reduced on sodden rigging. Great. Bullseye Barrett, Mark for Death stress has been named to chosen target. Oh, interesting. I'm guessing that's because Mark for Death is used on the Bounty Hunter. Bosses, Fanatic, Librarian. Book stacks now spawn in a varied range of conditions instead of all being full. Okay, so yeah, we got some variance to this fight. This fight needed it. Crit hits from any skill now apply 3 burn to the target. Okay, so he burns on crit. Got it, that's fine. HP increased. Okay, he's a little tougher. Ignited Librarian's HP increased. Okay, again, so if he's ignited, okay. Speed is increased. Oh my god, he's gonna be tough to fight. Speed increased from 6 to 4. 2-6 from 4. Burnout damage increased. So damage increased. Burnout now applies burn. Mandatory reading damage increased. Mandatory reading crit rating increased. Oh my god, they definitely saw this fight was too easy. Mandatory reading now deals 1 stress damage guaranteed. Okay, so instead of 50% chance. Smokestack launch ranks changed. So he can now do smokestack from any position and target any position. Okay. No longer deals damage on smokestack, that's fine. Inflicts 1 vulnerable in addition to existing effects. Okay, great. Blinds and vulnerable. Crit rate increased to 20% on smokestack. Oh, that's huge. Categorize now ignores dodge and stealth. No longer unintentionally consumes crit token on the Librarian. Burning Bright now ignores stealth. Okay, great. This is all fine. He needed this. He needed all of this. Let's see what the Leviathan's got. This is going to be a long video, guys. I'm just letting you know. We're already like 17 minutes in. Leviathan, Eyes of the Storm now ignores blind, dodge, and stealth. Okay, that's valid. It's his whole crutch. So now targets only the 2 heroes that will receive the Call of the Deep token instead of all heroes. Okay, so it's not a cleave. I like that. That's great. Only hits the 2 heroes. Now shares the same ignores as Eyes of the Storm. Okay. Eye of the Storm and Eyes of the Storm. Okay, Eye of the Storm I think is only if he hits 1 enemy with it. Or 1 hero with it. Fixed an issue where Eye of the Storm could consume a crit token. Okay, so they really didn't debuff the Leviathan. They wanted him to be tough. I thought we were going to see some debuffs on him. Seething Sigh. Fixed an issue where a damaged lung could be cleared by untargeted corpse clearing skills like Magnesium Rain. Okay, you could clear away the lung. Updated description of the breath token for clarity. That's good. New players are struggling with that. Sundering Exaltation no longer occurs if there are no breath tokens left at the end of the round. This is really, really good. This gives you a reason to actually remove both breath tokens. Before, you couldn't stop it from happening. If you can stop the attack from happening now, there's a valid reason to do damage on the other lungs. On the lungs in general. That's great. It now deals increased stress damage. 2 for Shallow Breath 3. So they're really trying to get you to want to hit the lungs. They want you to go, it's not fucking worth it to not get hit by the lungs. It's not worth it at all. Required to break token has now been reduced. Okay, it's now 12 instead of 15 on the front, and from 20 to 12 and 15 to 9. Wow, that's huge. Only 9 damage on the back row. That's incredible. Okay. Single breath token damage increased to 10 to 20 from 6 to 9. Double breath. Okay, so the damage has increased as well. Again, they really want you to focus on not getting hit by Sundering Exaltation. And the health has been reduced to 280. That's huge. It's almost 100 hit points a day. So they've lowered the health, but they've made the boss... The gimmick of the boss is actually something you want to play with. Before, you used to just DPS the main body and basically ignore Shallow Breath and then hit 1 lung if Deep Breath was going to hurt, like, really fuck you up. That was it. So... All right, general item changes. Stagecoach upgrades have been renamed Stagecoach Equipment. Item tags have now been added to select items. Interesting. Combat items, in items, Stagecoach Equipment tooltip color for in item has been updated to match item frame. Okay, so colors have changed. Caltrops has been renamed to Crow's Feet. Okay, that makes sense. I was wondering why they're going to have double Caltrops. It's not double Caltrops. One is Crow's Feet. That's great. That's because the Bounty Hunter has Caltrops as a base ability. Added signature in items for each hero after they've been fully upgraded on their Alta tracks. Stagecoach Equipment tooltips for Stagecoach Equipment that produce items have been updated. Tinker's Bench does noise okay. War and Pestle no longer produces Nightshade. Alchemical Gear now produces Chalk Dust, and Nightshade Concoction no longer produces Pyrotech Daz. Okay, so it's just some changes of like what things make. Trinkets. One new trinket has been added to each new region, excluding the sluice. Oblivion's Rampart rewards now guarantee a dark impulse in the first region. Yes, thank you. So now we know if you go through the first region, you will get a dark impulse, which will allow you to use any cultist trinkets that you grab. That's amazing. Thrilling tablet now sold by the hoarder. Good. Thrilling tablet was like impossible to get before, and now you can get it. Issues the academic studies trinket glyphs were appearing in the enemy side. Blah blah blah. Fix an issue reloading gestures. Okay, cool. Okay, great. So these are the patch notes. There's a lot here. Really happy with a lot of the changes. Most of them are just to do with kind of debuffs and buffs on the heroes and their paths in order to make the upgrades to them more viable, so that way they're not going to be super overpowered or anything like that. Really like some of the changes they've done to the bosses. I think the Librarian definitely needed a buff. A little bit confused they didn't debuff the Leviathan. People were really struggling with that fight, but we'll see how people deal with that. There's a lot of things like in the Shroud, it looks like things are going to be a bit easier overall, which is nice because that area has been tough. And the other big thing is progression. The fact that you don't get ordained enemies at the beginning, you get some ordained enemies in the middle, and you get mostly ordained enemies at the end. This is the progression that we wanted. That is how they're going to make the game harder as you go. Also, the changes to the Guardian fights. That's big, but the Guardian fight at the beginning is going to be easier than it is now. So at least while it is 2 waves, it's still going to be an easier fight generally because you're only dealing with regular cultists. It's just 2 regular cultist fights at the beginning. Then you're going to have a Cardinal Deacon. Then you're going to have an Exemplar, and only 1 Exemplar. So I think overall these are some really good changes. We'll see how they feel in the gameplay. But yeah, we're going to be getting into this. My next video is going to be actual going through all the buildings and the upgrade stats and all that stuff and seeing how that all works. And then we're going to do a video on the Bounty Hunter as well. So definitely keep an eye out for all those videos. Again, if you're really interested in Darkest Dungeon news and you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and subscribe. Give that video a like. Leave a comment on what your favorite patch note or your least favorite patch note is. Always willing to discuss that stuff. So thank you all for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.